What's the catch? What does King Sorrow want? It's way worse than just paying back a favor. This isn't your tip.
Welcome to the deep dive. Okay, so today we are tackling something pretty huge. A full look at the brand new literary event from Joe Hill. Our sources, well, they pretty much all agree he's the clear heir apparent to his father's genre throne. And the buzz you shared about this deep dive, it's definitely real and for good reason.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely the 10-year thing. We're talking his first proper novel since, what was it, The Fireman, back in 2016?
That's right.
A decade-long gap.
Yeah.
That's, well, it's significant for any writer that big.
Yeah.
And it puts, enormous pressure on this new one to really deliver.
Right, that's the tension we need to unpack because, okay, the novel writing stopped for a bit, but the creative work, that didn't stop at all.
Not at all.
We saw that huge wave of adaptations, Lock and Key, NOS4A2, The Black Phone, plus all the graphic novel stuff. He was basically building a media empire in the meantime.
Yeah, Hill himself kind of pushed back on the hiatus idea. Yeah. Said something like he didn't exactly vanish, which is fair. But, I mean, writing a nearly 900-page novel after 10 years away from that format, that's not just publishing a book. It feels like a statement, doesn't it?
It really does. So here's the plan, our mission for this deep dive. We're going to dissect this massive new novel, King Sorrow. Then we have to reveal this almost unbelievable collector's secret. Seriously, this tip could pay off for you, the dedicated fan, like immediately.
Oh, people need to hear about this one.
And finally, we'll analyze his creative range during that so-called hiatus, looking specifically at two pretty recent and quite different short stories.
Okay, but maybe let's start with the name, the lineage. It's important context, right? Joe Hillstrom King. Choosing Joe Hill specifically to make it on his own steam.
Yeah, he wanted his own reputation first.
Exactly. He actually called his identity a pretty well-kept secret for at least a few years. So he earned his stripes outside of that massive shadow, and now he's using that earned reputation to drop this behemoth.
And when you say behemoth, you're really not exaggerating. The sources are calling King Sorrow a big, chunky boy.
Tuckle slightly. Yeah, that sounds about right.
It clocks in at 896 pages. Due out October 21st, 2025. It feels less like picking up a novel and more like, I don't know, dedicating several weekends.
Which is precisely why the expectation is sky high. After this long and at that length, the book really needs to justify itself, both in size and, its place in the genre.
Okay, so before we even try to crack the spine on almost 900 pages of what sounds like pretty intense horror, let's talk logistics. Specifically, that collector's secret you absolutely have to know. This is a really unique opportunity. One of our sources flagged it as just incredible value.
Yeah, this genuinely changes things for collectors, especially if you follow contemporary horror authors.
So the scoop is this. Joe Hill has this very special arrangement going with Water Street Books. It's an independent bookstore, been around since '91 in Exeter, New Hampshire.
Right, another one.
If you go to their website, you can order pretty much any Joe Hill title they have in stock. And yes, that includes this huge new novel, King Sorrow. And you can actually request that it be signed, personalized, and sometimes, apparently, he even adds a little doodle.
And this is the kicker. The price.
Exactly. That's the key nugget. This whole service, the signature, the personalization, the potential doodle, it's offered at no extra charge at all, just the standard list price.
Which is amazing.
The new King Sorrow hardcover is listed at $40, so you get a personalized first trade edition for, well, $40 plus whatever the shipping costs.
Just think about that compared to the secondary market for signatures in this genre, especially, let's be honest, for his father.
Oh, absolutely.
A personalized Stephen King signature, that can add hundreds, easy, sometimes thousands, depending on the book. So being able to get a personalized first edition of a major new release like this, right off the bat for just the cover price, it's fantastic. Honestly, It's an incredible move. Very accessible from Hill.
Now, it's not like Amazon Prime speed. The sources are clear. He visits the shop every so often, maybe once a month, maybe every 6 weeks to sign everything people have ordered.
So there was a bit of a wait involved?
Yeah, you might wait several weeks, but for what you're getting, a personalized copy of potentially highly desirable literary stuff, that short delay seems totally worth it.
One article mentioned they managed to get a 12th printing of the Lock and Key graphic novel for $24.99 standard price,
Right.
And it showed up signed, personalized, and doodled. For just the list price plus shipping, you're supporting an indie bookstore and basically starting a valuable collection piece at the same time. It's just brilliant.
Okay, so now we know how to snag a potentially very special copy. Let's dive into the beast itself. Rackham College, Maine. Sounds familiar. What's the actual premise of King Sorrow?
Well, it seems like Hill is blending a few things here. Definitely horror, but also fantasy, and that sort of dark academia vibe. Rackham College is described as, classic New England Gothic, frosty winters, exceptional library, and beautiful buildings. Sounds like the perfect spot for something terrible to happen.
And the catalyst, it seems, is the main character, Arthur Oakes. He's got a tough background, described as brittle mother in prison, absent father.
Already vulnerable.
Very. And Arthur gets tangled up with some local criminals, needs to pay off debts, and they coerce him into stealing rare books from the college library.
Okay, classic setup.
But that desperation pushes him and his 6 friends, and some great names here, Gwen Underfoot, Colin Wren, the McBride twins, pushes them towards something forbidden. They find this occult journal, apparently bound in human skin. Creepy detail.
Yeah.
And they use it to summon this entity, this dragon-like being called King Sorrow.
Right, summoning a dragon to sort out your debts. That feels like trading like a leaky faucet for a full-on flood. What's the catch? What does King Sorrow want? It's way worse than just paying back a favor. This isn't your typical monster story. It's more structural. It's about institutionalized guilt, almost. The pact they made curses them for decades.
Decades? Wow.
Yeah. The 7 friends have to provide King Sorrow with a human sacrifice every single year. If they fail, the dragon just takes one of them instead.
Whoa. Okay, that completely shifts the dynamic. It's not a one-off horror event. It's a long-form psychological nightmare. If they're locked into this yearly murder pact, how does that even work? How does it affect their lives over all that time?
That seems to be the absolute core of the novel. It's tracking their loyalty, or maybe the decay of that loyalty, their ambitions, their paranoia, how this secret just eats away at them over years and years.
So the horror is ongoing.
And King Sorrow isn't just some beast waiting for dinner. One source specifically mentioned that the dragon messes with them psychologically. It apparently revels in taunting his sacrifices before, consuming them. So the horror is maybe less about the creature itself and more about that slow, awful grinding down of their humanity.
And, okay, you can't not bring this up. A decades-long story, set in Maine, group of friends, battling this ancient, powerful, vengeful creature. The shadow of IT just looms incredibly large here, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. And look, that's the comparison Hill has kind of dealt with before, right? The fireman got likened to the stand. It's almost inevitable.
True.
But the critical conversation around Hill always seems to circle back to his track record for genuine originality. I mean, think about the core ideas in NOS4A2 or Heart-Shaped Box. They were pretty out there, pretty unique.
Definitely.
So readers, I think, are banking on the idea that even if let's say the blueprint feels familiar, Hill's actual construction, his execution, will be fiercely and uniquely his own thing.
And that unique vision is actually a perfect segue to those 2 shorter pieces he put out during the novel hiatus. It gives us a glimpse of his creative mind when he's not wrestling with an almost 900-page epic.
Right, good point. Let's start with Ushers. That came out November 2024. It's a really short, tight story. Focuses on this young guy, Martin, being interrogated by 2 detectives, Oates and Hall. Great names again about these huge, terrifying events happening, like a train derailment, a school shooting.
This one got kind of a surprising reaction, though, didn't it? For an author so known for originality. At least one review we saw called Ushers, one of the few Hill stories that felt a bit, well, derivative.
Yeah, derivative. Specifically mentioning films like Unbreakable or Final Destination.
Interesting. Why do you think that was?
Well, the source material hints it might feel a bit like an elevator pitch, maybe because of how it came out. The film rights were snapped up by Screen Gems, but then the anthology Kickstarter it was meant for got canceled, and Hill just released the story himself abruptly. So it feels maybe like a quick, sharp hit of commercial horror, almost like a proof of concept waiting to be expanded.
Okay, so now contrast that commercial sharpness with the pram. That was September 2023. And here, the tone in the reviews totally shifted, right? From skepticism to pretty high praise.
Oh yeah. The pram was really lauded, called folklore at its finest, rich, personal, deeply moving. The plot itself is quite contained. You've got a couple, Marianne and Willie. They moved to upstate Maine after dealing with the trauma of a miscarriage, and Willie's lost his sense of smell and taste because of COVID.
Double blow.
Right, and then Willie gets gifted this pram, an old-fashioned baby carriage by a local shop owner.
So the horror isn't just, ooh, creepy old object, but it's tied directly into the trauma they're already carrying.
Absolutely. That's where the depth comes in. It's intensely personal. The story really works as this raw look at repressed grief, specifically the husband's grief and also the wife's struggles, maybe postpartum depression, or just the sheer trauma of it all.
And the COVID detail, losing his senses, that must play into it too.
Big time. It deals with his inability to process the loss, trying to hold things together when his own connection to the physical world is literally dulled. It's described as heartfelt, devastatingly intimate folk horror. Really powerful stuff.
It's genuinely fascinating, isn't it, to see him operate on these two completely different scales. You've got the massive, world-spanning, almost epic fantasy demands of King Sorrow on one hand.
Yeah, the 900-page beast.
And then the, surgical precision and deep emotional weight of the pram on the other. He's clearly comfortable working at both extremes of the horror genre.
And it seems like that kind of balance might be the plan going forward. Hill apparently announced he's already 2 months into writing his next novel after King Sorrow.
Already? Wow.
Yeah, but this next one is going to be significantly shorter. He mentioned it would be more comparable in length to, say, Horns or Heart-Shaped Box. Apparently he wants to focus on smaller novels for a bit, maybe get more books out overall.
That's certainly an ambitious plan. So, okay, let's bring it back around for you, the listener. Remember that incredible deal from Water Street Books?
Seriously, don't forget this.
You can get that hugely anticipated $40 first trade edition of King Sorrow, signed, personalized, maybe even doodled by an author who, let's face it, has built this reputation for never really putting out a subpar book. That kind of direct access, that value from an author of his level, it's truly unique.
Yeah, it really is. It's the perfect opportunity to support an independent bookstore and maybe snag what could be a cornerstone piece for any modern horror collection.
Which leaves us, as always, with one final, maybe provocative thought for you to chew on while you wait for this new book. Even though Joe Hill worked so hard, so deliberately to build his own distinct name over the last decade or so, the actual premise of King Sorrow, the main setting, the group of friends, the decades-long battle, it still brings up that constant comparison to his father's work. And that raises a really interesting question, I think, for modern horror generally. When an author is consciously, or maybe unconsciously, writing in the shadow of a giant like Stephen King, is borrowing those successful elements, those blueprints like the kids in Maine trope, is that a sign of homage? Is it skillful use of influence?
The other side of the coin.
Or does Hill need to actively, maybe even forcefully, pull back from those echoes entirely? Does he need to carve out an identity so distinct that the comparison becomes impossible, especially now that he's back writing novels after almost 10 years away?
A tough balance, isn't it? Something for you to definitely ponder as you eventually start reading that hefty 896-page chunk of darkness and long simmering guilt.
Grab King Sorrow by Joe Hill. Now on sale, $28.95. Don't miss this chance and build good habits and achieve remarkable results. Buy now today.
Like and subscribe for more Bookhaven podcasts.